Hey everyone, this is Cam from Swimmy Channel. So for today's video, I'll be talking about points to take note of when interviewing in Japan. We're filming this video in May 2020 where Japan is in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. Slowly though, the number of infected people has been decreasing. So hopefully restrictions on going out will be eased soon. These days, even if I want to go out and work, it's a little difficult, and when restrictions are lifted, I'm sure people will start going out again. And hopefully the economy will start booming again. And when the economy starts to try and slowly recover, I think the regular employees and part-time workers will also increase. When that situation happens, perhaps there will be more people trying to look for work in Japan. And with more people applying, we need to consider how to behave during interviews. So today, I'd like to talk about things to take note of when you take your interview in Japan. If you want to know more interview tips, do's and don'ts while watching this video, just ask away and leave a comment below. Also, if you don't know how to write your resume for the interview, you can watch our other video. Alright, so let me explain the points to keep in mind when taking an interview in Japan. Have you ever taken an interview in Japan? For me, so far, admittedly, I've only had a few interviews in Japan, and most of them were just for part-time work. And since it was for part-time work, they weren't too serious or difficult. But for those interviews, I still needed to submit my resume in Japanese, and I also needed to speak in Japanese for these interviews. I would research online about things to do, tips, what to wear, do's and don'ts. I'd also ask advice from my friends who've already had interviews here in Japan. Sigurado ako hindi 100% perfect yung mga interviews ko, but thankfully, yung mga nag-interview sa akin sobrang understanding, sobrang bait, lalo na siguro dahil foreigner ako. But even then, even if these interviewers were understanding, I know I have to do my best to follow the interview rules and protocol in Japan. So I'll be sharing the things you need to bring with you when you have an interview in Japan. These items are necessary for identity verification. So first is your alien registration certificate. Second is your passport. Third is your residence card. Fourth is your work qualification certificate. And fifth are your resume and results of your Japanese language proficiency test or your JLPT. You definitely need to bring these items. In case you don't know how to write a resume, you can check out our How to Write a Resume video. So of course, aside from things to bring, we also need to talk about your attire for interviews. If you're applying to be a regular employee or a contract employee, you have to wear a suit. You don't need to wear a suit if you're applying for a part-time job, but of course, you still have to wear decent clothes. It's always important to be mindful of your appearance when you have an interview. Your appearance should be something like this. So they're wearing suits, they look fresh and clean, wearing the typical job hunting attire. Your acceptance rate can change by around 50% depending on how neat and clean you look. Would you believe 50%? Whew. So let's aim for a clean and neat appearance. As much as possible, avoid wearing hats and accessories, so nothing to distract the interviewer from your face. Of course, aside from appearance, we need to know how to answer during an interview. So here are some points to take note of when giving your answers. First is to answer clearly. Second is don't keep saying daijoubu desu, or that it's okay. Third, if there is something you don't understand, politely ask again, and of course, listen properly. Fourth is to answer with a smile. You always want to give a good impression. Another important thing to note though when it comes to answering interview questions. We heard from some interviewers that they're aware there can be some language barriers or difficult explanations during interviews. There might be some things that the interviewee might not fully understand. Interviewers actually want interviewees to know that it's okay to ask as many times as you need to. It's better for them that you ask several times until you fully understand the job. For example, the interviewer might say, "This job requires you to use kanji often. Is that okay?" Sometimes the interviewee doesn't fully understand that. The interviewer will just say, "Daijoubu desu, it's okay." When in actuality, it's not really okay. They don't know how to use kanji that much. Someone who keeps saying daijoubu, it's okay to questions or says that it's okay all the time might appear to be pretending to understand, when in fact they don't understand everything. Maybe at some point in the interview, you say using kanji is totally okay for you, but when you're actually hired and you have to write it, you don't even know how. Sometimes these kinds of situations happen. If there's something you don't understand, don't just say "daijoubu" or "it's okay" so easily. Employers are actually more receptive if you admit that there is something you don't know or understand. When you say things like, I'm not sure, kindly repeat that again, please. Or, I'm not so good at kanji, but I'll make sure to learn and remember. When you say these kinds of things, they are more likely to be interested in hiring you. How you answer is very important. Show that you are a person who can learn and earn the job properly. Someone who they can rely on by answering the interviewer clearly and honestly. So finally, I'll be sharing another tip, probably the last tip for your Japanese interview. So interviewers usually ask, how long have you been in Japan? 日本に来てからどれくらい? Right? Something like this. So what do you actually answer? In a way, this question is important as it's one way that's used to sort of gauge your Japanese level. So for example, it's now May 2020 and you arrived in Japan in November 2019, so around 5 to 6 months ago. If you answer simply by saying 6月です, like just that simple, then the interviewer will probably think, this person is probably N4 to N5 level. If you answer 6ヶ月前です, then you're probably a little bit higher, like N4 to N3. If you answer something like 2019年11月に来ました, then you would be around the N1 to N2 level. It seems for interviewers there's a big difference in your Japanese level depending on your answer to this question. But of course, don't overstretch yourself. Don't push yourself to the limit if you're not at that point yet in your Japanese language abilities. I just share this with you since it might give you an advantage when you have your interview. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure how accurate this kind of evaluation is of your Japanese skills, but the point is, it's important to know how to answer properly. If I may also suggest, try and practice your answers with someone you know who has experience in interviews and can give you advice. If you're shy to ask for help, remember it's better to try and make mistakes with someone else rather than with your interviewer. As always, Swimmy channel will continue to provide useful information for living in Japan, so please check out our other videos. I like this video. I want to see more. I want to support you. If you have these kinds of thoughts, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.